You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters, with thanks to Wexford Insurances. Wexford Insurances. More information at wexfordinsurance.com.
I'm joined now by Sally O'Connor, Coordinator with Employability Wexford. Now, Employability Wexford assists those with disabilities source employment across the county. Good morning, Sally, and thank you for joining me.
Good morning, Karl.
Sally, can you explain the range of services provided by Employability Wexford, please?
Employability provides a service where it assists people with disability into employment.
And how do you go about that?
We have a job coach system. That means we have, at the moment, 3 job coaches. We work with people on an individual basis and assist those people to find employment.
And on average, how many people would you be working with in any one calendar year?
Well, each job coach must work with 25 people at a given time, about 150 a year.
In relation to the range of disabilities that people would have, would it be everyone from a mental disability to a physical disability and in between?
It is, absolutely that. It's all disabilities. The person must have a disability of the level that they require our level of support, as opposed to maybe going to FOSS. They would come to us if they feel they need that extra bit of help.
And I know that the service is available to anyone from the age of 18 to 65, but what would the largest age profile of people be that you would be dealing with at this moment in time?
It's probably from about 25 up to about 40.
Percentage of men to women?
I think there's a higher level of men, but there's very little difference really, but the majority are men.
Over the last 12 months, I know that you would have placed a lot of people in employment with disabilities. What type of jobs would they have been placed in?
Well, they're all quite different. One person went into a supermarket, another person went into a food processing company, another person went into a cleaner job.
So there's a wide range of jobs that these people are going into. What do you see as the big challenges out there for employers to take on people with disabilities?
At presently, I suppose, because of the difficult economic climate, there's a wide choice for people to employ other people, or they have a wide choice of employees to choose from. I think in the main, employers are frightened off by disability. I think they feel that people with disability will maybe cause them more problems, and that they think it's more straightforward to employ someone without a disability.
What advice would you give to employers in relation to that mindset?
I think it would be very good if they could just open their minds a little bit to seeing people with disability, see their ability. A lot of them are very well qualified, a lot of them have degrees, have training, have a huge interest in working and could make very loyal employees.
Tell me about the process that Employability Wexford go through if somebody, let's say for instance with a disability, approaches them for your help.
The person must come through for the Department of Social Protection, so all our referrals come through the one source. Once they're in the programme, then they are assigned a job coach. We have 3 job coaches covering the county, so whatever part of the county you're in would mean you would go to a particular job coach. The job coach would then meet with the person a number of times to do a needs assessment, which would involve getting to know the person and preparing a CV.
From there, how is the job search undertaken?
The job search is taken with the assistance of the person looking for the work. You would try and look at jobs that they might want, particularly if they could choose companies they felt they'd like to work in. And then the job coach would then contact those companies and try to make arrangements for work experience maybe to see if the person could get a chance to try a job.
And in relation to the work experience, how does that work?
We have a programme, our own programme, which is Employability Service Programme, which involves people going out on a 7-week work experience programme, paid €20 while they're out on that just to cover costs, travel and subsistence. And the employer then covers the insurance on that.
So Sally, let's say for instance somebody with a disability comes to yourselves and identifies a specific employer that they'd like to go and work for. One of your job coaches contacts that employer to arrange work experience. What happens next? Well,
a 7-week work experience is arranged for the employee to go in and work with the employer. It's a chance for the employer to get to know the employee or the hopefully future employee, and it's a chance for the person with disability to see if that's the kind of work they want to do.
Let's say, for instance, that 7-week work experience goes extremely well and both the employer and the employee want to continue. Is there a wage subsidy available to the employer to hire that person with the disability on a full-time basis?
Yes, there is. There's a wage subsidy which allows the employer $5.30 an hour towards the wages of the person they employ.
That's a considerable amount of money. That's almost 60, if not 65% of the overall salary if somebody was earning the minimum wage.
That's correct. It's a very good incentive and it works very well, and it's available to all employers if they have tax clearance certificate.
How is it received by employers?
Well, employers are very interested in it at the moment, and we've seen an increase in people open to talking to us about this incentive at the moment. The incentive, but employers must have a full up-to-date tax clearance to avail of that incentive.
Is it for a 12-month period or is it indefinitely?
It's indefinite, as long as the person has a disability. Anyone we have worked with who has gone on this programme has stayed on it for quite a long time.
Let's say, for instance, an employer is looking to employ somebody with a disability, but the workplace needs some adaptation. Is there a grant available for that through yourselves?
There is a work adaptation grant available through the Department of Social Protection that gives you up to $6,350 available to make an adaptation to assist someone to take up employment.
What type of work would that cover?
That could cover anything. I mean, each individual is different. It can be small things such as handrails and things, or it can be a ramp for a wheelchair. It could be a voice activation unit for somebody who's going to use a computer. It could be some sort of adaptation to a telephone, whatever is required for the person.
That covers 100% of the costs associated with it, up to €6,350.
That's correct.
Now, let's say, for instance, you have a situation where an employer has somebody employed for a number of years and they have an accident, whether it's work-related or leisure-related. Is there any support available to an employer there to retain the employee?
There is the Employee Retention Grant Scheme, which is available to employers to help them, assist them to retain people in jobs who have acquired injuries outside work or inside work.
What size is that grant?
The grant is 15,000, broken into two parts. So the 2,500 is used to bring in an occupational therapist or some of that nature to help look at the situation and put in a retention strategy.
And is that a once-off payment?
That's a once-off payment, yes. And then once the retention strategy is set up, the 12,500 is then spent on implementing that strategy.
Sally, I know that some employers listening to the show this morning might be concerned that if they did take somebody on with a disability, what effect would it have on their own insurance premiums? Can you give me some clarity in relation to that, please?
Yeah, there is a fear out there for employers that if they take people on with disability, it has an effect on their insurance and may even increase the premium. This is proven not to be the case, and there's nothing to support that.
From your experience also, Sally, what other challenges and fears have employers got in relation to taking people on with disabilities?
I think they have a fear of maybe fitting them into the workplace and the trouble that might cause them. They also have a fear about excessive taking of sick leave, which is obviously a fear you can understand where that fear comes from, but it's not been our understanding that has been the case, and a lot of people with disability make very good employees.
I know that there is also a disability awareness training grant. Can you give our listeners some information about that, please?
That grant is available to all employers to help train their employees to understand people with disability, to become aware of the difficulties facing people with disability, and therefore to improve the workplace for everybody involved. That retention grant can give you up to 20,000 to train people. The employer must take on the full cost of the training, and then they claim back 90% of that cost.
What would that training cover?
That training would cover understanding disability, understanding the difficulties facing people with disability, such as somebody who's blind, maybe helping people to understand, maybe they might get you to put on a blindfold and walk around, understand how people feel. They might put you in a wheelchair and go around and help you to understand how it feels to be the person who's sitting down in a group of people who's standing up. So it's just getting you to understand how people with disability feel, and from that hoping that empathy would develop and that people with disability would be more accepted in the workplace.
Just to clarify, Employability Wexford have lots of people with disabilities on their books today that are looking to source employment across County Wexford, and there is a subsidy scheme in place to the tune of €5.30 per hour for employers to take these people on as full-time employees.
That's correct, and we are very open to employers contacting us if they want more information on any of these schemes, or if they have a particular interest in taking someone with disability on a work experience, just to give it a shot and see if they can make it work.
How can people get in touch?
They can get in touch on our website, which is www.employabilitywexford.ie.
And by phone?
053 92 43930, and we're in the IFA Centre in Enniscorthy.
Sally, thanks for coming in this morning and for sharing your story with us.
You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with thanks to Wexford Insurances. Wexford Insurances, #1 for business insurance in County Wexford.